Welcome to the 359. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
It's been a rough few days for Samsung. Instead of basking in the glow of adoration for the Galaxy Fold, the company has had to address reports the device is breaking. Glitches everywhere. One reviewer peeled off the protective screen on the unit, and then turns out that makes it unusable.
Yeah, it's a protective screen. It protects it from breaking. I don't understand what the big deal is about this.
Well, keep in mind, the OnePlus phone comes with screen protectors put in. If you remove it, the phone automatically doesn't stop working.
That's such a... Why would you have something that's so crucial be so easily removed? Without a warning.
To be fair, there was a warning. I think one reviewer got a warning, another did not. It was kind of inconsistent how they were addressed. But yeah, just the fact that this thing's flickering. Keep in mind, this is a nearly $2,000 phone, right?
First impressions are extremely important too, and this, I would say, is not a very good one for a $2,000 phone that's supposed to be the first of its kind that's out there.
So over the weekend, Samsung had reportedly delayed 2 events. Now today, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that they're actually delaying the launch of the actual phone. It was April 26th, and now we just don't have a confirmed date.
I mean, honestly, I think it's better that they delay it than ship out a product that looks like it can break that easily.
Yeah.
Hopefully they address it and fix it by the time it actually ships out. I don't know if that means there's going to be a second round of reviews or something like that for this hopefully improved product. But yeah, if this came out before these reviewers had caught it, I think this would have been a serious issue for Samsung.
Yeah, I mean, the gut reaction I saw around the internet was a comparison to the Galaxy Note 7. I don't think it's that severe since that phone was out in the market, and Samsung is lucky at this time. This stuff was caught during the review process, ahead of the launch. Hopefully they can nip this in the bud. All right, next up is the OnePlus 7. It's expected to arrive next month. CEO Pete Lau is teasing some interesting features, including a super smooth and fast and crisp display, which you struggle to figure out.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really understand what that means.
How display can go fast?
Yeah, I feel like my display's fast already.
So it's really the refresh rate, and that I think has a lot to deal with the refresh rate. Basically how smooth these things work, especially when you're watching video. The rumor is that it'll have an all-screen phone and oddly enough a pop-up camera.
Love those. Love it. Just give me pop-up everything. Put a pop-up USB cord in there.
Little toaster.
Put a pop-up knife.
No pop-up knife, by the way. No pop-up knife.
That's a good feature. People should have that.
No, they should not.
Security.
It's not going to get through security.
It just hides in the metal.
So look, this is this is still another rumor. It does remind me of the Razer phone, which boasted of a high refresh rate. Things did seem to move a lot more liquidy, silky smooth on the display.
How much do people care about refresh rates, though? For me, I understand it's important in, video games.
Yeah.
When you want, the fastest reaction in, mostly fighting games.
Yes.
But I don't really see refresh rate mattering that much on a phone screen.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't think. I mean, it's kind of nice to have. Hopefully, that's not the main selling feature of this phone, but we'll see. And then, lastly, they also teased a Pro version that might have 5G, but we'll see if that actually.
How are you going to tease 5G like that? Either you have it or you don't.
I don't know. We'll see. Lastly, I wanted to wish a happy birthday to the GameBoy, which turned 30 on Sunday. I still remember mine was it was basically a tank. You could do anything with that thing.
Huge.
It was huge, but also it was durable.
There was a trend on Tumblr maybe 10 years ago or so where people were getting chains and putting it around the Game Boy and wearing it as a necklace. It was awful, terrible trend. But I loved my Game Boy. That was one of the first pieces of technology that I used regularly. It was how I made friends in elementary school too. When I barely spoke the language. No, but it was just oh, you have a Game Boy. Let me watch over you. Play
got it.
I had a Game Boy and some kids.
Did you have a go-to game? Mine was boring. Mine was Tetris. I played
Pokemon
it so much.
Red.
Okay, I played Pokemon. Just Pokemon Yellow? Was that the main
Pokemon
one?
Yellow was
Red was the original.
Red, blue, and then yellow. Unless you were in Japan, then it was red and green.
All right, so I had red. That was cool. I spent a lot of time. But Tetris, I spent most of my time playing Tetris. All right, for more of these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Roger Chang.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Thanks for listening.
My Game Boy's floating around here somewhere in this office. My original 1989 Game Boy.
It's not on one of the shelves?
It used to be on the shelves, and then
But
we took it down
I
to
put
look
it
avant-garde.
I put it into safekeeping because we wanted to like make sure to save it for like an upcoming video segment or something like that.
Yeah.
It's here somewhere. Alfred, you have my Pokemon Yellow.
Yes, I do.
You do.
It is on display on my desk, and if anyone wants it back, I will Pokemon battle you for it.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it's in the crate over there where I found your Pokemon Yellow too.
It must be. It's got to be with all the other gaming stuff
Yeah.
that belongs to like Backlar and who not.
I was gonna say, like, outside of Smash, like, I was also extremely obsessed about Pokemon. That's why I played Pikachu in Smash, and only Pokemon characters. But
There you go.
I thought you only played Pikachu when you wanted like to throttle somebody.
yeah, but like most of the times I want to throttle somebody. Like when I'm playing people online, I only don't play Pikachu when it's against like people that are
Newbies?
people that are not good at the game because it's not fair.
People like me.
Yeah. All right, as always, it is time for us to take your questions and comments in the chat. First and foremost, happy birthday to the Levante. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. Either way, thank you for being here and happy birthday. Grumman Pilot 99 says, wow, probably best to delay instead of having a disaster on their hands. Unfortunately, I think we all agree with that one. As awesome and potentially revolutionary this phone could be, I'm glad that Samsung's playing it smart. And then Grumman Pilot goes on to say, any P30 Pro Zoom lovers here? I like the camera, but not the company.
I haven't actually tried the phone yet. I'm continuously impressed with some of the specs and some of the capabilities of those devices, but I have not actually tried it. As for Samsung, yeah, I think it's a good call. I think I would be a little bit more suspicious if they had pushed ahead with the launch and just would like, don't worry about these little minor breakage reports. We'll just keep going and stuck to their launch date.
So is this a global delay or is this a delay only in certain regions? Because I thought it was just in China.
I believe no. So the events that were held in China, scheduled for China this week, were delayed.
Okay.
The launch itself, which I believe it was launching on
April
26th,
yeah.
with AT&T, T-Mobile here in the U.S. I think it's a global launch that's being pushed back. It's not just.
Yeah, that's good for much better to delay it than have like this massive.
It was only a
disaster
launch in
on it.
select markets anyways, and so I think that's all getting pushed back. So yeah, if you pre-ordered, you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer.
How frustrated do you think they are at Samsung about this?
Customers?
No, like Samsung, like the execs there.
Oh, they must be tearing their hair out,
Yeah.
right? Like this is just, I mean, it's like I said, it's good that they're taking the extra precaution to make, to kind of remedy this before it goes out to consumers. But yeah.
Do you remember around the time when the Note 7 batteries had their issues when they, put out all these statements about like, here's the extensive testing that we're doing to make sure that these batteries are not like, exploding again or anything like that. They went to a lot of effort to like make sure that those were safe.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, what they're doing now, like how extensive the testing is going to be like for this. I don't think they're going to go forward with it, like go public about it, just because this scandal's not as wide blown as the previous one. But yeah, knowing what they did to make sure that the batteries were safe, like I would love to know what they are doing to make sure these screens aren't like breaking.
Yeah, well, I know they showed off promo video of like robots constantly unfolding and folding these things. We'll see. Hopefully, this isn't a problem that is like catastrophic, like it's fundamental, and they have to shut it all down. But yeah, I mean, the other concern is like we're just sort of at the beginning of these foldable phones, and I think there was already a bit of skepticism on whether or not these things would actually stand up to our daily wear and tear, and this does not help.
Yeah, definitely not. It's the worst first impression you could make on a foldable phone.
Right. I mean, it's not exactly the first. The very first was this Flex Pi phone that we all saw, and
which is also pretty bad.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So far, we're kind of 0 for 2 in terms of like a good first impression with foldable phones.
Adrian MVP1 says, by the third iteration, they should work out all the kinks, and it should be a standard. I'm really pushing for Samsung. I think we are too. I think they're going to be able to climb out of this one. Like, glad they just caught it up front. Something is bound to go wrong. Technology's tricky, especially something so different and new like that. So
yeah.
I mean, look, that's third iteration. The problem is that there are folks paying for the first iteration, and they're paying a lot, and so they kind of have to get it right the first time, which I guess is unfair given the fact that it's so brand new, but also that's the reality, right? If you're going to charge nearly $2,000 for a phone, it's got to work.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sure that the first generation of this is not going to be that good, and if you buy it, I disagree with your financial choices. That's a nice way of putting it, but yeah, I think if you're buying it, it's mostly for like a flex value, if anything else. Like, I don't think you're buying it thinking like this is going to be like a tried and true like piece of technology that's going to work immediately.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're buying this because you want to be the first to have one of these things, and regardless of whether or not it works, but it should work like fundamentally as a phone, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like regardless of how well it works, it should work.
I just wanted to be first in the comments. Besides the screen flap, do you remember the original Note fanfare compared to this Fold? I wonder, did people's expectations, have they reached new peaks with what Samsung's developing these days?
I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of people were really bored with what phones were doing up until like this is the most excited I've seen people get about like a phone in like a bit of
really
a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I got excited about it. I don't care about anything. I mean, this was like cool to me.
It really doesn't. I mean, yeah.
Do we know what Samsung's accident replacement price will be, and how that's going to compare to the carriers or third-party prices?
I think it's a little premature to speculate on that. I mean, the phone's not even out yet, so keep that in mind. You know, these phones, the units that broke were seeded to reviewers ahead of time, you know, for the reviews. So, the fact that they caught it ahead of that is, you know, Samsung's fortunate that they were able to try to address this problem before it becomes widespread. But we'll see. I'm sure they'll have some sort of either product replacement or accident replacement policy in place, especially given now the heightened concerns that are raised by these incidents.
Is this peel screen like a common thing among foldable phones? Like, you saw the Huawei
Huawei one.
Did it also seem to have some kind of like protective plastic? Okay.
I mean, it itself was plastic, right? Keep in mind those displays are plastic. But the other thing about the Huawei phone is it folded outwards, and from what I understand, like folding outwards, the bend isn't so extreme.
Okay.
And so the wear and tear is not as bad as the Samsung one folds on the inside. When
Yeah.
you fold on the inside, there's way more of a crease.
Okay.
So that Samsung definitely made it more difficult by choosing the harder fold.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't see any kind of protector
Yeah, I was
screen.
just wondering if like other foldable phones would have that same issue as like, oh, please don't rip off this layer.
I didn't see anything with the Mate X. Who knows? Maybe there is. Maybe there's one built in.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that Samsung had one.
I feel like they
that you
should
could
just
peel
make it
off.
much harder to peel off.
I agree. Yeah.
I don't think it was particularly easy to peel off.
I don't. It might be. I'm not sure.
It
Like,
was easy enough that one of the reviewers did it.
it was easy enough that like they didn't like think like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. Like, they thought it was just like a protective like screen thing. And I just keep thinking about like, I know that people that buy this phone probably are gonna know about this by now and not like peel it off and read the warnings. But I think about like, oh, like let me like show this to my kid or something like that, and like the kids like don't know. It's like, oh, let me just like tear this off because I don't like this.
There you go.
I wonder if that film protective layer that's on there, I wonder if more, I think realistically, rather than people actively trying to shear the thing off or it breaking right up front, I wonder if that's going to lead to more things like dust and artifacting and schmutz getting under the screen as there's a secondary layer in there.
I don't know. That's very possible.
Yeah.
I know the way they do in the factories, it's a little bit more. I mean, it's obviously a lot better than when you're putting your own screen protector on. Like I said before, OnePlus automatically ships their phones with screen protectors pre-applied. You can take them off. I've taken mine off before, but yeah, and I've never had an issue in terms of like dust particles with those things. So
I've always thought screen protectors were a bit of a scam to begin with. Like, I don't buy into that.
just say that after you drop your phone and you get a big old gash on it.
I don't think that little flimsy piece of plastic like would protect against that though.
More so than I don't know. It depends.
It
depends on how dramatic that fall is.
Yeah, like I'm using my cat bit this the other day and it was fine. No screen protector, no scratch or anything.
There you go. Samsung, there's your commercial. It's cat proof.
But yeah, on the note about like not knowing like whether or not you could remove that thing or not, it makes me think. Did you have a PSP?
No.
It's kind of like the Game Boy.
Yeah, I know what a PSP is. Thank you. It's a younger Game Boy, basically.
But they didn't have like CDs or anything. They had this thing called like UMDs.
Yeah.
Which they had like a weird protective case around the mini disc, and I was coming from like a GameCube when I got a PSP, so I thought, oh, this is like a case for the CD.
So you take it off?
Yeah, so I broke it. This wasn't a game I bought. This was a demo disc that came with it. So I broke it, and then I tried putting the CD in. I was like, this doesn't fit. And then I asked my friends about that, and they're like, oh, the thing itself is the game. So I was extremely mad about that.
That's the best. Well, at least you did it with a demo disc.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Some more questions. Are actually kind of a comment from Ashton Flary. Is it me, or does it seem like Samsung is really just rushing their big products these days? Why is that?
I mean, I don't know if they're rushing the Fold. They've been talking the Fold for like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, but I can understand the public perception of that. Like considering this phone being the first of its kind and them talking about it first before anyone else.
Right.
And I think a lot of people are making like our commenter didn't like mention this, but I think a lot of people always draw the comparison to Apple where they're really slow on things, but there's no like issues as much
that's
like
true.
when it comes
That's
out.
true.
So I think most people aren't comparing it to Apple like out loud, but I think internally they are.
Right.
And Apple is always really slow to everything, so it seems like everyone else is rushing to stuff. That's my theory.
Well, I mean, look, you can make the argument that for a long time now, I mean, Apple hasn't innovated on a lot, right? They definitely take innovations that others create and then they build upon them and polish them. But that's how Apple has always been.
But
right?
fans can make the argument that like, oh, Apple's not rushing to this. That's why they're not first on it.
I mean, you could say Apple's not rushing to it. I don't necessarily know if Samsung is rushing to foldables, although I'm sure the calendar adjusted a bit once they heard like Huawei was putting out a phone and now Motorola's working on one, or Lenovo's Motorola. And then obviously there was that FlexPi device that was out there.
I think when you're first and there's no mistakes, people are like, "Oh, you're so innovative, like amazing,
right.
no one's like as good as you are." And I think when you're first and there's like 1 or 2 mistakes, people will say.
I mean, even if you're first with mistakes, or first with no mistakes. I mean, you remember the very first Galaxy Gear Watch? Like they were one of the first to have like a full-fledged smartwatch. I guess Sony did before, but really Samsung kind of popularized it. It was kind of a terrible device. No mistakes.
So it was that's my point. Like people would think it's rushed because of that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Actually, that segues really well naturally into a couple questions coming through from our old buddy Michael Brown.
What up? Hey.
Will Galaxy Fold screen flap drain the foldable phone revolution? Nope. Just like we said, Apple will swoop in on the product, own the market at the right time. Then he goes on to ask, can we compare the success of iPhone versus the success of the Galaxy Fold?
I think
it's too early.
Yeah, it's way too early to make that comparison. I will say I do think Apple will eventually get into this foldable phone biz. It'll be much later, and you're right. It'll be polished. They'll make it a thing. It'll become all of a sudden like a legitimate trend.
They can even call it the iFold.
Well, knowing Tim Cook, he's going to be calling it Apple Fold.
Awful.
Yeah, I know. iPhone Fold. iPhone Fold.
X.
No, but
Max.
My point is, I think these guys are so far ahead right now that I suspect the foldable trend will take hold before Apple gets into it. Like, it'll become a thing before Apple gets on.
Yeah.
It'll legitimize it for sure, further legitimize it, but I think it'll be a trend, just like with all these other things.
Or it could be a thing that everyone else is doing and Apple just never jumps on that like people ask for all the time. Like I could see them getting into it, but at the same time, I could also, for the longest time thought that they would finally make MacBooks have a touchscreen.
Oh, but they just never did.
And like, didn't they like straight up say to like us that like, that's never going to happen?
Yeah, but I feel like the jury's still coming out on that one. Like, I think, yes.
It's like everyone did that.
But no, like, yes, on the MacBook itself, they may have a different interpretation of like what that MacBook of the future looks like. And they may not consider that a MacBook.
Instead of the screen.
Yeah, the touch bar is great.
For some reason, this all kind of reminds me of like the console wars back in the 90s with like Nintendo and Sega jumping the bit to 16-bit. Just because the numbers mattered, and then Atari Jaguar jumped in with 64-bit and just said, do the math, and then it fell flat on his face.
Yeah.
That's what the
is that the controller with like a million
right
buns on it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That was their
stupid
thing. Okay, we got a couple minutes left. Let's take another quick question from Michael Brown. He's sidebarring, asking, Roger, do you plan on getting the Apple Watch Earth Day badge today?
No.
I don't
You
even
don't
know
collect
what that
badges
is.
on your Apple Watch?
I don't
Come on, dude.
collect badges. I don't care about the badges.
Oh.
I mean, what does it entail? I don't even know. Do I have to like go out and recycle or something?
I have
How's
no
it?
clue.
Your
man.
watch knows.
How
when
does
you're
the watch
recycling.
know? Sorry, I'm like painfully
You have to
ignorant
hug a
about
tree,
that.
and then the watch picks up on.
I
Like,
mean,
the
I'll do
bark.
that. I'll hug a tree if it gets me. No, I don't collect badges. I don't really care.
Got it.
I stopped wearing my Fitbit because of that. I wore it for 3 days, like over the
And
weekend.
then it presented you the badge. You're
Yeah,
like,
it gave
no.
me, I was like, what the
no
hell is
badges.
this? Like, I don't want this. Like, this is like more work than it's worth. And I just I took it off.
There you go.
Question from Yanhao Chen. How about the Huawei foldable phones? Any report as to whether or not they're experiencing the similar issues to the Samsung Fold?
Well, that's the thing. Mate X doesn't come out for another several months. I think they said June, July at this point. So we really have no idea. They talked about, I forget how many folds it was rated for. The CEO told it to me, and I just remember thinking the number was really low. So hopefully they're seeing what's happening with the Samsung phone. And they're like, we should redouble our tests just to make sure everything is cool. But keep in mind, like I said before, the Mate X folds outwards, so it's a less dramatic bend, so less strain on the phone. So I imagine less issues. But yeah, they have to be looking at their own device and just making sure that this thing works like 100% before they just roll it out.
It's a middle out folding technique.
I just wonder if they're scrambling at Huawei right now, just seeing, trying to capitalize on where Samsung did allegedly go wrong.
I hope that if we get a review unit, one of the first things we try doing is peeling off anything on the phone.
Jesus. All right, coming in on the end of the show here, Timothy asks, is there a master month calendar somewhere that tells what month every company's got the releases coming out? I feel like every other month another company has a phone release.
Oh, I'm sure there's
Google Next. With,
We should
like,
make
Pixel.
one. Make it available in like GCal or something.
I mean, we have our own internal planning docs, but unfortunately we can't share those. I'm sorry, but
Oh.
I'm sure. Yeah, there's someone's got to have some sort of calendar out
Yeah,
there.
I think the Pixel.
It's a really good suggestion, though. If we don't have one, maybe we'll make one. We'll make a public one. Yeah, maybe we'll consider making a public one.
Yeah, that'd be a fun idea.
Yeah.
Easy to share around too through multiple platforms.
Yeah, Google's been teasing something for May 7th for the Pixel 4. That's coming up.
Man, I wanted to take that day off.
You mean I/O?
No, they were like something like related to the Pixel.
Oh, it could be the low cost Pixel. Or,
Hope so.
I think that's what the rumors are calling
Yeah.
for.
Give me the cheap stuff.
Yeah, there you go. That's Alfred's stuff right there.
All right, last question of the day. Let's talk games real quick. Do you see a Game Boy Retro console coming out soon? God, I hope so. I think it's more likely though. Like I would love that. I would love to recollect that and have it in my pocket. Something they'd be able to make it so thin that it would be so comfortable.
Would you
carry
want it to be
around.
smaller though? I felt like part of the charm was the fact that it was so big and chunky.
The big brick?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
love that
know. If they could replicate that the same way they're doing the retro SNES, NES, and now Genesis is coming,
Right.
The PlayStation. I know they've had all their ups and downs, but the idea is still appealing to me on paper, especially if it's portable and especially if it doesn't eat 8 AA batteries in like 9 seconds.
Are you not tired of this nostalgia thing? I feel like I'm getting a little
Nope.
burned out from it.
I would
I'm
hope
still
that they
fine with
just
it.
make an app for it instead. Like
That's
I
way
feel like
more
that's the
likely.
best
there's
solution.
a ton of
I
emulators
know.
like out there that are not legal, and
Right.
this would be a cool way to have a legal way to do it. Very legal, very cool. But yeah, I don't like see them like coming out with that only because they also release a lot of like these classic games on like the Switch store.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not to say that stopped them in the past. They also release classic games on like the Wii U and the Wii store.
Are
and they,
there
like,
actual classic Game Boy games on the Switch store?
I'm not sure. Well, they like re-released like Pokemon like a few.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
you're
they've
right, you're
talked
right.
about
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
so-
But they're more likely to do what they did like with Pokemon and do like a remaster type
Right.
scenario and try to refresh the presentation and gameplay. You're right. It's probably way more likely that you're just going to see these start popping up in like Google Play Store or App Store or something like that.
Well, no, that's the thing. I don't know if it's likely because
And then you have
Nintendo.
to- yeah.
Nintendo really is.
They're
has a
wading
strict
into
policy.
it slowly though. It's
No,
I'm
no. I
saying-
mean, look, if you look at their mobile games, they're not
like new titles.
They're all
for
new
mobile.
titles
They're not-
using
yeah.
existing franchises, but they're not the old games, and they're very protective of those old games. So.
Yeah.
And then you have to blow into the headphone jack to make sure, or like the microphone so the game works. Like sometimes it just doesn't turn on.
There you go.
I'm just saying I would like that. As far as the retro consoles go, that would be one I'd jump on board before most of the others. Like Dreamcast.
I'm not that much into the Game Boy games as much as I would be into a retro for like Game Boy Advance. Like I really liked Game Boy Advance.
Yeah,
games.
so did I.
But that's a generational divide right there.
No, I liked both. I mean, I had both, and I appreciated the Game Boy Advance. I spent more time on Game Boy Advance games actually. What?
I just said they're both objectively good consoles.
Yes.
Oh, they are absolutely.
Yeah, I have a lot of fond memories of my Game Boy. That was my first true console. That was the first one I ever got. And
same.
I just remember long road trips, like in the backseat of mom's car kind of thing.
Yep.
So, anyway, sound off if you think Game Boy Retro Mini something or other would be a good idea, or how it should be better executed than some of the others that have come out in the past. And Nintendo's got a pretty good track record so far, but we got to learn from like Sega at-games mistakes and Sony's mistakes. I just wonder... Like, I'm seeing ideas flood through about, like, putting a Wi-Fi chip in there and, like, a lot of cool ideas to make it worthwhile as opposed to just having another brick to carry around. But, yeah, interested to hear what people's thoughts are. But we're done for the day. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Roger, want to take us out of here?
Yeah, the 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Feedburner, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Google Podcasts, the Amazon Echo, and, of course, CNET.com. We will see you all tomorrow.
Take care, folks.